Hello and welcome to episode 44 of Detroit Comics Party. With us tonight are guests Omar and Yugo, animators at large.
Oh golly, don't be spreading that around. I've been trying to keep a low profile.
I thought that's the only reason that I know you, that you directed or animated a very interesting piece that I saw on the internet.
I mean, in all fairness, haven't done much else yet.
Yeah.
kind of the debut piece.
Yeah, a lot of screaming happening, but this is our first animated thing on the web.
Do you think you've peaked? Is it just gonna go down?
I think this is it. I feel like we're one of those we're one and done kind of deals.
Can't get any more famous.
Well, what's your hits?
I disagree.
What's your hits looking like on that so far?
Ooh, right now, I checked it earlier, and our cumulative views are around, I want to say 28K.
Nice.
And it's been
It's been
2 weeks, maybe?
yeah, a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Something like that. Yeah, and for people who haven't posted anything ever, 28K hits is pretty good, I think, you know?
Yeah.
That's pretty good, especially at that brief amount of time.
Yeah.
I mean, I only have 200 followers, so the most attention I ever get, I'm lucky to get 500 on a test or something.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a new experience,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Super good, though.
Has fame and fortune reached out to you?
Oh, my
The
God.
pros and the big shots?
Yeah.
I mean, actually,
Yeah.
some industry people really liked it. It's gotten pretty good reception. We kind of did a hype tour before we were done.
Yeah.
We went to different art and animation festivals. We went to, there's this one in Ottawa called the Ottawa International Animation Festival. We went there and we kind of had a progress reel for it because everyone wasn't quite done. And we went around and people were like, hey, that's pretty neat. I'd love to see that when it's done. And these are people who, could give us jobs and
Yeah.
we wouldn't have to scrounge for scraps anymore,
Did you say give me a job?
No, we just kind of screamed a little and did some poses, but I feel like the message got through.
That goes over surprisingly well with animators.
Yeah.
The animation industry, that's an application.
Yeah. But then we also went to the Creative Talent Network in California in November, and we showed it to all sorts of different artists.
Bunch of studios too. We went to Titmouse, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, Disney TV. We showed all kinds of people, and they were like, "Cool," and I was like, "Nice."
They all seemed to like it, or at least feigned politeness enough to give us that kind of confidence boost we needed.
I thought they were pretty into it.
But yeah, I've gotten I was much smaller than Yugo in terms of online presence before this, and it's kind of been working out for me. I've been getting more people know who I am kind of thing and want to pay me to make stuff for them, and I'm like, hey, that's the goal right there. That's end game.
That's a good goal to have. But if you go to CCS, do you learn multidisciplinary curriculum, or do you focus tightly on animation?
I mean, animation's kind of broad.
Right.
So we kind of go over what I would say mostly the necessary steps for animation. We have a characters environments class where we go character design and stuff like that. We have, of course, before that we have foundation classes where it's just drawing naked people for a year, just a bunch of butts.
They're all old people, by the way.
Are you current students there?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
We're juniors.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going into our second semester. So we started the music video kind of as this project over the summer that because we're working with a bunch of animators and none of them are being paid, and we're all friends. We're all like, we all knew the deal. It kind of, you know, some people took longer than others. Some stuff kind of had to be moved around. So what probably didn't need to get stretched out from like August to December. I mean, it was fine though, because then we got to do like the hype tour, and instead of like just
I think that was
showing
worth it.
people it.
That was
The hype
pretty
tour
worth
was
it.
fun. Getting people hyped up. I felt like the 2 Chainz of animation. I felt
You'll be on 1 million features this year.
everyone's like, get that guy in here. Yeah.
Can you describe the video for people who haven't seen it yet? Like what actually happens in it? What does it look like?
Yeah,
How did you animate
so
it?
It's under the category of something called an animation jam, in which a bunch of different animators come together and make one thing. The way that ours is structured is that everyone gets from 10 to 20-something seconds of animation to showcase their style, how they animate, and their personality. So in our video, we have 16 different animators strutting their stuff, showing who they are, and each clip kind of flows into the next one, you know, like a cool transition.
Yeah. As far as use, like how we actually like technically made it, I think like a few people used like what's it called, Toon Boom, which is kind of the standard, but a lot of us used Photoshop because believe it or not, and people will disagree, but they're wrong. You can animate in Photoshop.
It's good stuff.
It's doable. And it looks pretty okay. I'd say it looks passable at best.
That's going on the Adobe website.
Right.
Photoshop.
Passable at best.
But the reason I think it's really nice to like animate in Photoshop is because it's the closest to like being able to just, you know, draw and color the way that you normally do, so you don't have to compensate. Like maybe Toon Boom won't have the brush you like to use, or you won't be like comfortable with the coloring system or the lining system. But since Photoshop's such a big drawing program that people use, you'll already know exactly how you want to do it. So once you get the animation plugin to use it, you're like, oh, I already know exactly how my thing's gonna look because I don't have to compensate for anything, you know?
Are you able to keyframe things in Photoshop?
Yeah,
though?
yeah.
Really? Okay.
You can, so something that touches on something else, something that helps Photoshop animation, at least for Creative Cloud. There's this plugin called animators, which is free, and they don't sponsor us. It just makes it possible for me to animate, so I don't mind giving them a shout out.
They're great.
So essentially what that does is Photoshop's kind of built-in timeline is kind of whack, and it's hard to
Indeed.
like, yeah.
Yeah, it's
It doesn't work the best, let's say. But what animators does is it puts in a timeline similar to like a real animation program like Flash or something in there. The only like downside to it is you can't scrub audio. So if you're trying to find like where a specific sound hits.
Does it show a waveform at least? No, nothing?
No, we're not.
Okay.
It's not that far yet, unfortunately. But like you can like work around that stuff.
yeah, it's the no sound scrubbing thing. It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
So basically why I like it opposed to other programs is that it's the closest to animating on paper. But this way you don't have to go out and buy like a ream of paper, and you get like a lot of the conveniences of digital drawing. But
So it is kind of less about the keyframing and automation and more about just being able to draw expressively.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of us do that much automation, or like what's called tweening.
Yeah, we're not into that.
I heard that's illegal.
Tweening can be good, and I think it's good if you use it economically and if you have strong posing, but a lot of the time, tweens look kind of weird, but if you know how to do it right with great posing, a lot of the Disney TV shows know how to use tweening very economically and very well. That's good, but some other shows, not so much.
I think it's good that that's not the way that people want to do it anymore.
No.
That you want to do it more in a organic
now
style.
There's a lot of like really complex rigs where it's kind of like, because like essentially you put like a skeleton in for the puppet that you drew, and they've been getting like crazy complex, and you can get some really nice stuff out of it, like Star vs. the Forces of Evil and like The Loud House, and you know, cartoons like that. They're all tweened. They're all like puppeted, rigged animation like stuff, but
Star less so, but yeah.
It still has like that kind of like flow, and like essentially you have like that where it's like I didn't really know that was tweened versus Johnny Test, where you're like,
that's tweened. That's tweened, all right. Whip cracks and all.
Yeah, that's a whip crack sound effect. That's, oy. Oh.
Anyways.
I think that's good though, when we're at a point in technology where the new futuristic devices and computers are emulating the thing that we might have been nostalgic for in the past. Like, we went through a real bad period of where everything was flash and everything was that kind of unnatural sliding.
2007, man.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but 2007, like...
Dark times.
Teletoon is a network in Canada, and they just infiltrated, and there were flash cartoons with weird tweening everywhere coming into Cartoon Network and stuff. Some of them were good, but most of them were something, man.
Yeah. It's definitely less in like the TV animation scene. Like essentially, if you're making a TV cartoon, it's not going to be animated in the United States. It's either going to get shipped to Canada or Korea, and
if it's a cost thing.
Yeah, and if it gets shipped to Canada, then it's going to be like tweened and like Toon Boom probably, because they have the most like complex rigs. I think Flash is still used a lot though. Or if it gets shipped to Korea, then it's still all like hand drawn and
frame by frame.
Yeah, like hand done on paper and stuff. And that's how I know Steven Universe is still done that way.
Yeah.
I don't know what other show might
most
be
of
done
Cartoon
that
Network
way.
shows I know, and most of Nickelodeon's are hand drawn, I believe. Yeah, that sounds right.
Are there places where there's an American office where all Americans are drawing many frames of animation?
Man,
Yes.
Really?
You're talking about the dream.
Titmouse.
Okay.
Titmouse.
Oh my god.
They do that. It's kind of mixed and matched, but the real answer is that it's very tiny. It's very niche. American like animators, like as far as like big scale production, isn't like, that's not really a thing. Except if you get into like some of the like independent smaller kind of people, like Ralph Bakshi or Bill Plimpton, and like those kinds of folks. I think
People who make films on their own, basically.
yeah, them and like independent like animators who make like short films and like run that kind of circuit. Like, cause there's a lot of like really cool, like really awesome animation out there, but like you kind of gotta dig for it. You kind of it takes some doing to find.
It's not something you'll just like see on TV. You'll have to like, maybe you'll have to Google it or go on Vimeo or something.
Yeah.
But if you're like just into animation in general, you'll probably have heard about any number of these things.
So, like, when you're thinking about here's what I will do in the future and here's like where I want to end up, are you looking that I want to somehow create this space where there's a lot of animators doing this animation here, or is it like I aspire to be the top animation slave driver who has many servants working for me at all times?
Little of both.
I feel like I could go 50-50 on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, of course I want, like, a studio job and, like, storyboard artists who are, like, I guess, like, the animators now for cartoons. They do, like, the really rough stuff that gets sent over and then cleaned up and turned into the final cartoon. They do all, like, the like, pre-drawings and layouts and stuff. Essentially, that is key animation now. And I don't mean keyframe in like the tween sense. I mean like it's like pose, you know, like really disparate kind of drawings that still in effect will convey like the motion.
Like
For
every so
animatics
many
and
frames
such.
you're showing where it should be at that point.
Yeah. And that gets in betweened, and that's how you get like the full animation on TV and stuff. So like that's cool because that's close enough kind of to animation, but I'm just hoping for some kind of, and I feel like it's going to happen, that there's going to be some kind of resurgence with 2D animation. I know there's some like independent, you know, studios that are kind of like gaining traction. I heard actually that Amazon is sponsoring this 2D animated film. I can't remember what it's called. It's about like that like rocker girl.
Oh, Emily the Strange.
Yeah. Which I think was like a comic for a little bit.
Yeah,
before
yeah.
That.
Graphic novel.
Yeah. And so like that's like a bigger company making.
Kind of out of left field too.
Yeah. Weird pick.
Not super famous for treating workers well.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. It sounds
Weird
like it's
pick.
going to
Is
be
it kind
cool.
of like what it's done to other TV shows and stuff like that, and movies even, where it's like Netflix is now paying for the production of its
Yeah.
own shows, like,
Yeah.
and
I think
Amazon
that's
kind
pretty
of doing
cool,
the same thing.
actually.
I think so. I feel like if there's any place where like a TV show or like a short series or something like that is going to be like 100% done like by hand in America, like by like skilled workers, by people like us, I feel like that marketplace is on places like Netflix and like Hulu and Amazon and like all those like video streaming services, because you know, that's all you really need.
You think at this point in particular that would be a good thing to have happen? Because like when something comes out that's, hey, this is the Netflix production or whatever, they put a lot of attention on it so that it doesn't just get lost in the sea of either TV or YouTubing.
Netflix is very good at advertising.
And I mean, Netflix will have like, you know, they'll have like some missed shows, but then they'll have like their Stranger Things, you know, I feel like, and Netflix did actually, it wasn't, I don't think it was like fully 2D animated, but DreamWorks for a while had this like How to Train Your Dragon, like 3-episode miniseries thing. And like one of the episodes was just like entirely 2D animated, and it was beautiful. And this is at DreamWorks. Do that.
Do that 2D
animation, because yours is the best.
You know the stuff in the Kung Fu Panda movies, that 2D stuff?
Make a whole movie like that.
Yeah, do it.
That'd be awesome.
Do it.
But yeah, like, there's still like kind of like niche points in the industry, like for big movies where it's kind of 2D animated. Like in Moana, there was the whole "You're Welcome" sequence that had like the like weird, really stylized 2D dancers. That was probably the coolest part of the whole movie.
Agree.
But the main issue is that, and the cool thing about Amazon, what makes that interesting is that there hasn't been like a big budget like 2D animated movie since like Princess and the Frog, I think, right?
Yeah.
I think that was like the last one.
I mean,
That's kind of...
recently there was Nerdland that Titmouse produced, and that's a fully 2D animated movie.
I can't believe
it wasn't majorly released in theaters, but on December 6th, I believe, on select theaters around the country, they premiered it. And I haven't seen it, but I went to a behind-the-scenes thing of it and saw like some rough cuts from it and some character designs. and seen the trailers and stuff. It is so cool looking. It's got a really strange, distinct art style that I've never like seen anything like it before.
What is it called again?
Nerdland.
Okay.
It looks real cool. And Titmouse has made some good stuff. I don't know if you ever heard, it was a short-lived series on Disney XD. It was called Motor City. It was about this like futuristic dystopian kind of like Death Race-esque like thing, and it was animated. But the thing is, it was animated like crazy well.
Yeah,
like, it was animated like beautifully.
It's something that you would like see and be like, that's TV animation?
Yeah, like
it's like it was super amazing. The poses were great. And the coolest thing I thought about Motor City is that a lot of like the character acting and stuff was rigs. It was like weird 2D, 3D blend rigs, but you could barely tell because it was so well integrated with everything else and the poses were so nice. And then sometimes they just go into like no tween, full like frame by frame crazy fight sequences, and it was so great. But sadly, Disney XD pulled the plug because I think it's because they couldn't market off of it, or it was too grown up, because it's not really something you'd think would be on Disney XD. It's actually pretty
You don't
like...
describe a lot of Disney shows as being like Death Race.
Yeah. It's very like gritty in a very good way.
Yeah.
I don't mean it being edgy, but it was amazing. Every time a new episode came on, I was thoroughly impressed, but it's gone.
Short run.
I don't know how it's going to end. Still a little salty. Maybe I'm not salty every day or anything. I'm not mad right now or anything.
In 10 years, they'll do like the mega ending episode of how it was supposed to end.
Yeah, but so, I mean, basically, my personal dream, I don't know, like we just do stuff like this, like we collaborate like this, because it's a blast. Like, it's so much fun, and it's weird because there's this kind of pressure to like, oh, you got to make this movie by yourself. Oh, it's like this one person has to do everything. But like, collaborating on a big project with your friends, that's like the jam. That's just a good time. And like, albeit it was stressful at points, making this music video of ours was really fun.
It was so great, and like seeing everyone's progress, like when we first got like everyone's animatics in and stuff, some people's were totally different by the end, and just seeing them grow and change and everyone getting so excited building up to the release was such a fun process.
That's like extremely inspiring to hear you guys say those things. Like, took me a long time to even come close to like feeling comfortable collaborating with people and like working with other people, you know?
I mean, maybe
you gotta be with the right people, I think, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe it's because of like the atmosphere of like our group at CCS. I don't know if we should talk about it. We're working on with two other friends who after this we're gonna go collaborate, make some stuff with. We're working on a pitch of sorts that we don't want to get too much into detail right now, but essentially like the four of us, we've worked together before. Like we do like a 48-hour challenge every year where we have a weekend, literally 48 hours to make a film. And like we kind of like, we didn't like do the best because, you know, there's upperclassmen who are like, oh my God. But it was still really like fun, and I still feel good about it. Like, it was a good thing. And I think that was one of like the first like bigger group collaborations that I was like, this is a good time. So I don't know if it's gonna be like we just cast aside the industry and we're like, bah, and we're like, we're gonna do our own thing. Screw you guys.
That's my natural advice to try and sell to you.
Which sounds like a rowdy good time. Don't get me wrong. That sounds, God, I love to do that. But at the same time, it's not like we hate the industry.
The industry's a great place.
Like,
at least I think so.
It's like all the people I've met and all the people I know who work in the industry and like are a part of it. like they're doing what they love every day of their life, and they can like sustain off of it. And like so many artists, like I'm not gonna say all artists, but so many artists are just like really nice and enthusiastic, and they're just like having a good time. So it's like, it's not like the industry's like this evil thing that's like, we hate 2D animation. It's like, it's too expensive to make 2D animation. And I'm like, but it's better.
Well, it's not better, but they're different. They're both good. They're both good.
It's more my speed. So from my self-centered, selfish point of view, it's better. But I guess because I don't have really an interest in going into movies, and I think that's because it's all 3D, and I'm like, well, I don't want to do that. I don't like 3D.
Yeah.
So like that's like I would say like the next step up in corporate like the industry talk, and that's already kind of I've gotten like. Yeah, like screw you guys. I don't know. I don't know how much like a language is censored. I've been kind of like pedaling around on
it hardly matters.
Okay, cool. Wow, that makes things a lot easier.
Should have told you earlier.
But yeah, like if it's possible where I can. Where we could kind of get in this position where we're just like collaborating, making films or making like a short series or something with our friends and like other cool artists and stuff, and we just can like do that. Like that's like the actual like dream.
Right. Just so I'm gonna pedal back a little. What we're doing is we're making a pitch for a cartoon. But there's 4 of us working on it now, and we just kind of want to be the ones who are directing it. Has that ever happened? Have 4 people ever directed a thing? I don't know. It's probably allowed, maybe. But like,
we're coming in with some of those radical millennial ideas of
cooperation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
can you believe it? Could you imagine working with somebody like every day?
Yeah, but making a series is one thing, and let's say you're a director and you have a bunch of other, like, you know, oh, this guy's a great storyboard artist, or this is a great background painter, but what if it's all of your friends? What if it's a bunch of people that you've collaborated before with, you know how they work, and it's this, like, baby that you've made together? Like, what would something like that be? Has that ever happened? Maybe.
I don't know of any examples, and I like to think of myself as someone who's pretty learned on animation history.
Maybe you guys will be the first documented
That's
example.
the goal.
Patient
like that.
0.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us on Detroit Comics Party. Our time, sadly, is up.
Yeah, sorry we kind of just talked your ear off. We get excited.
I'm glad for it.
We get very excited.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for
Good
having
night,
us.
everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Cell phone.